Welcome back to Riding the Pine. This is a review of Game 47 of the 2020-21 Chicago Blackhawks season. Tonight, the Blackhawks won in a stunning fashion over the Nashville Predators by a score of 5-4 in overtime. But before we get to the review, if you could do me a really big favor, hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Also, hit that notifications bell so we will come looking for you. You don't have to come looking for us. You'll know exactly when we upload because YouTube will send you a ping notification when you hit that notifications bell. And with that, I will throw it over to Chai Sports fan Joe. Joe, it was like the Undertaker coming back from the dead tonight.
Yeah, I was gonna say, pretty crazy, being down 4-1, and we're kind of thinking that was kind of the final nail in the Blackhawks coffin, and sure enough, they pop the thing back open and they come to life, and just, I mean, an all around really great win, and I think we just hope it sparks the team. I mean, regardless, I know they, had a really battle back to get that win, but it shows that they're capable and that they can do it, but. You just hope, like I said, this is a kind of a building block and a momentum builder to kind of come into the games, upcoming here. I think we're only down to 9 games left.
Yep.
And I mean, I know our chances are still pretty slim, but hey, let's ride it.
Yeah, and I think I actually thought this was a weird game. Um, we were talking beforehand, and I had tweeted out. I thought the first period, I thought they played really well. I know it was tied 1-1, but I liked their chances. They had a couple power plays, or at least one power play in the first that looked really good. I think that was building off their momentum of getting the first goal. Hinostroza, great work, creating a turnover in the offensive zone. Allowed Hagel to pick up the puck and get it straight to Pius Suter for his 13th goal of the season, I believe. It's not going to tell me. Yes, 13th of the season. So yeah, that was, I think, nice to see. And then the second period started, and Nashville just took over. They were getting chances after chance after chance. And then they finally scored, which I think they even said on the broadcast, like, well, that was about the fourth time coming off all their chances they were getting. And then they got another goal. And the final seconds of the second period to take a 3-1 lead into the third. Final 2 seconds, that is, from Michael Granlund. And then kind of a repeat of Monday where the Blackhawks give up a goal.
Giving up a goal in the first minute of the third period.
Yep. And if I'm not mistaken, that was Connor Murphy again getting screwed because of the helmet rule.
Right.
Poor Connor Murphy.
Yeah.
Might as well just put a bag on his head out there. He blinded himself with that chin strap.
I was going to say, or glue his freaking helmet to his head at this point.
Yeah, you know what? That might be something just like out of the Little Giants when the one kid used what the
super
hell?
Glue, yeah, on his hands or whatever.
Super
yeah.
glue on his hands. Yeah. But then the Hawks showed some life. Patrick Kane made a nice pass to Wyatt Kalynuk, our favorite kitten. And boy, even before this goal from Kalynuk, I really liked him in the first period. I think he was on that power play that I was referring to in the first period. Him back, I like him much more on the power play than Boquist. And Boquist, by the way, is kind of fallen off the face of the earth a little bit. He's not noticeable, and while he's not,
this was his first game back in a couple of games, I think.
Yeah, but even with before that, like he wasn't really doing much on the power play, and then even tonight, right? Like he he's not noticeable in a good way defensively. He hasn't really made any defensive mistakes, but then he takes a really stupid penalty, and he's not really chipping in offensively. So I'd like to see a little bit more from him, I think. Um, but yeah, between the two of them, from what I've seen of recent memory, I prefer Kalynuk right now, at least on the top unit. Maybe you put Boquist on that second. But yeah, I really liked his game. I think his skating ability and speed. There was another play in overtime. Kane had the puck, and was it DeBrincat? Somebody was changing, and Kalynuk was out there, and Kalynuk went to the net. And it's like, that's great to see. Um, that even the fact that they trust him, they're putting him out there in overtime, 3-on-3. So that's a good sign. I think, I really wish they would have played him before the last month. Like, I think they were missing out on a really good player. And I obviously voiced my frustrations there. Um, but anyway, yes, great play there. And then Vinnie Hinostroza again gets rewarded. His first goal of the season from Nikita Zadorov and Kirby Dach. Uh, Good hardworking goal again. Vinny is just having a career resurgence at this point. Another point tonight, a goal and an assist, actually, excuse me. And I think he's at 7 points now in 8 games with the Hawks. Basically a point per game player. I think he's obviously earned a contract to return next season.
Yeah, definitely exceeding expectations at this point for sure.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna have a new thing with Hawks Twitter going on with him and Hagel. Definitely seem to have chemistry both on and off the ice. One of them, and again, I don't remember which one it was. I think it was Vinny, but anyway, like they called themselves kind of like the Bash Brothers. They have like a thing, and they were talking about they were said something along those lines in the locker room before the third, and I think those two, I think, is the third line. If you can get a center between them, I think that'll really be a good third line, and it'll give the Hawks a top 9, assuming they start to develop some more top 6 firepower as we move forward. And then Sandbagger, our favorite $6 million man, scores from Pius Suter. Suter picking up his second point of the game. Was this his first multi-point game since his hat trick against Detroit for
I think
Suter?
so. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
might be. He hasn't had many since then, if he has. So again, nice night for Pius. Kubalik finally getting back on the board. Ties actually, or I think, yes, ties Patrick Kane now for second in goals on the team. Kane's kind of had a little bit of a dry spell with goals lately, but I can't blame him there. And then we're all tied up at 4. We get to overtime, and then who is it, of course, but Brandon Hagel from Vinnie Hinostroza and Kirby Dach. Hagel finishing with 3 points for the night, a goal and 2 assists. Vinny finishing with 2 points, a goal and an assist. And Kirby Dach, 2 points on the night. I believe his first multi-point game of the season. So this is what we've been talking about, folks. When you can get this kind of offense, and notice, by the way, we didn't say one of these goals was on the power play either. This is one of the rare occasions, which is why this was probably so stunning that the Hawks won. We haven't even talked about the 4-minute power play that was brutal, which we
Oh,
can in a
God,
little bit, but
that's putting it lightly.
yeah, but this is what we're talking about with offense and the Blackhawks. I tweeted out earlier today, just because I hadn't looked at it in a while, and I saw that it had changed where the Hawks were on their goals per game stats for the year, and they had dropped 3 spots from 16th to 19th, and they were about half percentage point, or 0.06 to be exact, from being in the top 10 worst scoring teams in the league. That's a big reason as to why they are where they are in the standings. And if you, because look, Subban was good tonight. I don't necessarily think that he was any better than Lankinen was Monday. Um, I mean, like I said, he gave up 4. I don't think he was spectacular. He made some good saves, obviously. But goaltending, I don't think is the problem. I mean, they had a couple of defensive breakdowns tonight, but you see when you score 3+ goals a game, what the results are. And the Hawks, like, even this is the first time all year, they even mentioned it on the broadcast, the Hawks have scored 3 goals against Nashville. Obviously, they finished with 5, but like, and that's what was even more so stunning. So the 3 goals in the third period came in 2 minutes and was it 59 seconds? So
So
3
yeah,
minutes.
right around there. Yeah.
Yeah. So they scored a goal a minute. And previously they hadn't scored more than 3 goals in a game against Nashville. Or excuse me, they hadn't scored 3 goals. Not more than 3 goals. And then they scored 3 in those 3 minutes. So that was quite something. I wouldn't bank on that happening much in the future, just because of talent. But that goes to what my point and what we've been saying is about the offensive deficiencies on the team. When you can score like this, you can have defensive breakdowns. And not only about the defensive breakdowns, but it changes the way you play the game. You're not on your heels the entire game. And we even said they got the lead tonight. Still didn't matter because they gave it up by the end of the first period. So, like, being able to score and score consistently changes how your team operates and plays. When you can't, you have to play tight defensively. You got a lot of young rookies. You got vets that are overthinking and making stupid plays. You got coaches that are playing defensemen that are hurt, and bad things happen. So, um, on that note, let's talk about the fact they played 7 defensemen tonight, which is, by the way, we called on Monday's show. So again, if you're first tuning in, these are the reasons why you want to listen to the show, because it stunned the beat writers that the Blackhawks would play 7 defensemen today. And these 2 nut jobs here on this little show predicted it. Anyway, DeHaan played. It was a good thing because DeHaan, Calvin DeHorrible, was in fact still injured, which everybody I think knew, or at least we knew, which is why we suggested they play 7 defensemen. And sure enough, 3 minutes, 50 seconds into the game for DeHaan, he's out. So,
Which do you think they do that again on Friday?
I was just going to ask that, because if they do, who gets in?
I would like to see Bodan get back in, but
Yeah,
I
still
don't
got
know.
Mitchell around too, because Mitchell
Right.
didn't play tonight.
Or Mitchell. Yeah.
I
So
honestly, I wouldn't mind them taking Stillman out and playing Bodan and Mitchell,
right. I agree.
but they seemed, I don't know what their thing is with Stillman. I don't know if it's Colleton just wants to see him because he's unfamiliar with him, or what. Um, I again, I I thought obviously Stillman made one of the mistakes tonight, leaving the front of the net open as Murphy was going behind his net, I believe, to check on Arvidsson. And yeah, so, and Stillman did play the least amount out of everybody tonight, so maybe that is something they would do.
Do you think they go with Subban again in goal on Friday?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's, let me make this clear. as I said earlier, I don't think Subban played particularly great tonight. Like he didn't. Subban's not the reason they won tonight. Is he? Did he make good stops? Yes, but it wasn't like he was spectacular. Um, he just wasn't. I mean, and then the numbers stayed as much. But you ride the hot hand,
Yeah.
and considering you haven't beat Nashville before tonight, and considering that Subban has gotten you 3 points against Nashville, that I think that all speaks to that Subban goes Friday, and then who do they got? Tampa after this?
Yeah.
Yeah, then you throw Lankin in at Tampa. But it's still Lankinen's net. So I just want to make that clear. Like I don't think Subban's
Your
usurped.
guy, yeah, your guy
Yeah.
going forward. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's still Lankinen. But I think you have to ride the hot hand. The fact that he got you the W tonight, even though maybe, like I said, he didn't play. Like I think a lot of people are praising him, like overly, I guess is the way to put it. Like that he's a big reason why they won tonight, and I don't agree with that. I think the fact Kirby Doc picking up 2 points, Hagel 3 points, and Hinostroza 2 points. Those three players are a big reason that they won tonight because you got scoring, balanced scoring, right? Nobody scored 2 goals. You had Suter score, Hinostroza scored, Hagel scored, and Kubalik scored. You didn't get that's another thing that we haven't talked about. They didn't get a goal from DeBrincat or Kane tonight or a power play goal, and they still won and scored 5 goals. Let me see the betting lines on that.
Right.
That is crazy. And I think there was a betting line that had Blackhawks winning, Kubalik and Kane, or not Kubalik, Kane and DeBrincat getting a goal or a point. And DeBrincat did not get a point tonight. That's not saying he was bad, but he didn't find the score sheet. So that was a really nice win for them tonight that hopefully they will build off of going into Friday. Um, and again, with the Connor Murphy thing, do you think that they're going to, with this helmet rule, do you think now that it's happened in consecutive games, that Stan Bowman will bring this up during their virtual GMs meetings to try to change this rule?
I think it, yeah, I think it, I would think so. It has to be changed because, yeah, it's just like I said, it's not practical, especially if a guy like, where we mostly the instance was Monday night where you're in the defensive zone and the opposing team is, got you pinned there for a while and they're sustaining zone time and your helmet comes off. Well, now you've just went from you, like I said, you get basically you've given the opposition an on ice power play, and for what? Because of that, because the helmet came off, that where it wasn't even the player's fault. I mean, it's kind of just it's a ridiculous rule to me, in my opinion. But
Yeah, well, and tonight we saw what happens when the player tries to go and put the helmet back on in his defensive zone. He gets blinded by the chin strap.
right,
So,
or it just you can't get it on the right way, and
yeah.
yeah, you're sitting there trying to defend with with your helmet kind of facing every which direction to try to get back in the play.
Yeah. So hopefully, I don't know if any other teams have had this complaint, but hopefully there are. So Bowman's not the only GM that brings it up, and I hope he does bring it up. And maybe that'll be a tweet we can send out to our lovely beat writers that the next time they interview Bowman for them to ask whether that he would bring that up when they talk about, whatever it is they do, all their league doings at the GM meetings that are, I think they announced them not too far away because I know they said they're speculating next season will begin October 12th. They're not expecting any delay. So we'll see. I certainly hope so because that was supposedly the reason they didn't play a full 82 this year was so that they could start next season on time. So we'll see. Um, yeah. So again, I not a great game, but a big win, I think, and confidence booster. That one, you can beat Nashville. Two, you came back from 4-1. Like you basically were going to be done. I think they still are done, but they still have life, if you will.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's what is the saying? We live to die another day.
Yeah, basically. And I think they even said that on the broadcast. By the way, I don't know who it was with Eddie tonight. Brandon something.
I believe I think he's the Islanders play-by-play guy.
He's really good.
Yeah.
I really liked him. He's a lot better than Kenny Albert, and I don't know who the other guy is they got. They
Yeah,
got
I think he's the Islanders. I'm pretty sure he's the Islanders play-by-play guy.
yeah, if they can get him to do more of the national broadcast, that would be great. So
Yeah, Brandon Burke.
yes, Burke.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, he's the Islanders play-by-play man. So
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then yes, NHL. If you're listening, or I guess not NHL, but NBCSN for the remaining games and including in the playoffs, please get him into more games because I cannot stand Kenny Albert. I don't know if it's like nothing personal against him, but his voice just isn't there. Like for me to do a play by play, I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't work. Um, yeah. Khrushchev kind of invisible tonight. Dylan Strome was scratched. What do you think about that?
yeah, I mean, I know, and there was some uproar, I think, on Hawks Twitter tonight, about, well, this team is not scoring, so why are we scratching an offenseman to carry 7 defensemen? And it's kind of like, I don't know, I kind of felt like it was a catch-22 because I
Well,
know offense scores goals, and we haven't seen the Hawks obviously score that much, against Nashville, but I think you had to go with because I think it was more along the lines he had to go with 7 defensemen because, like we had talked about, what if one of your defensemen goes down and you're stuck playing with 5 D-men again? That hasn't worked out at all with really any team the Hawks have faced. So I think it was like something you maybe didn't want to do, but at that point you had to do.
yeah, and on top of that, like we had talked about on Monday, Kubalik and Strome were both invisible as of the last, I don't know, handful, 5, 6 games. And, in Strome's case, maybe a scratch will wake him up. And quite frankly, I'm not sure he plays Friday either. Because if you go with 7 defensemen again, who are you going to sit?
Right.
Connolly, maybe you swap Connolly for Strome, and I don't know. I mean, Connolly had 3 hits. Like the thing with Strome is so frustrating because the talent is there. Like the talent is there, but he just doesn't put it together unless he's like with DeBrincat. And look, like you got to be able to play with anybody, or at least develop some chemistry with somebody other than Alex. He didn't do it in Arizona. He's not doing it here. I'm really wondering if maybe Bowman moves him at the draft. I don't know for what, but considering the amount of, forwards that they acquired and forwards, I mean I'm assuming they're going to bring Reichel over and Borgstrom. And then they've got Nylander coming back. So I really wonder if they move on from Strome for something. Do you think they would do that, or do you think that would be a mistake?
I mean, I don't know. It's just like I said. I think Strom's got talent, but maybe it's just a matter of him utilizing it in more, not to say constructive ways, but Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe with a different, set of line mates, maybe, it's just a matter of finding the right click with him to maximize his production. But I don't know, maybe it can't be done here.
Well, that's just it. And like, because you got to make room for your younger players to play. And I guess we can go into this because you and I we usually talk before, um, we jump on the air here. But I mean, we maybe briefly scrape the surface on it. But it came out today that Jonathan Toews is on his way back on the recovery road, is expected to be ready to go come opening night next season in October. So, with that in mind, we were talking about what the lineup would look like, assuming they re-sign Hinostroza, which at this point, I don't think you can't re-sign him the way he's played. So, assuming him and Hagel are on your third line, and you re-sign Suter, which I can't imagine they won't, I don't know where you place Strom because I forgot about him. I
Yeah.
said I think I'm forgetting somebody, and that's who I forgot. Because you probably move Kubalik back up with Toews, at least to start. And then, I guess if they bring Reichel over, you can put Reichel on as the other wing or Nylander. And they're bringing Borkstrom over. So he's the center, which is
Well,
Strom.
what is Strom? I forget, what is his contract, or is it up after
He's got 1 year after this year at
1 year? Okay, so.
$3 million.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. And that's like, I wonder if they would be, because we talked about making a trade for a first round pick at the deadline next year with Strom or Kubalik on the last show. And, I mentioned it. If you do that, you're like the first round pick you get, granted, it's a loaded draft, it's going to be low because you're going to be trading him to a playoff team. And maybe that makes more sense for Kubalik given his age, but Strom's still kind of like a young player, right?
I was gonna say, what kind of value do you think, if like this off season, Bowman looks to trade him? What do you think you can get in return for him?
Well, and he's a restricted free agent. So he's got a. I would think if you were going to move Strom, it would be at the draft
Okay.
because one, if you don't, you risk him still not producing. And at that point, he probably has no value because that'll be like 2.5 to 3 years of not producing. Whereas if you move him at the deadline, you can go to a team and be like, hey, Strom's a former third overall pick. He's put up, when we first got him, he's shown he can be a point per game player. It's not working out here. He's just, he's had injuries and concussions, and other guys have just overtaken him, but he's still got talent. He's got a year left on his contract. He's 24. He's a restricted free agent, so you can sign him. He should be cheap too. He could be a point producer on a cheap deal given this economy. And then you can trade him to a rebuilding team for a first round pick, right? Like, or a team that's close, like LA or San Jose or somebody. Uh, and you're gambling that they're still going to suck, right? That's the idea. Because if you can swindle a first round pick from one of those teams, then, if they suck, that's good news for you because that pick's going to be high in a good draft. But that's what I think. That's something like I would be thinking about because they have so many forwards and no spots. Like you're not going to send Nylander or Strome to Rockford.
Yeah.
And ideally, I don't even think you really want to send Reichel there either. You're not sending Borkstrom there because if Borkstrom signs, he literally left Florida because they sent him to the AHL. So that ain't going to happen unless you give him, and he'll probably have one of those European out clauses to where he can't be sent to Rockford. So I don't know. Like it's they're gonna have a mess on their hands with where people fit at the forward level because they've got a bunch of guys that are probably top 9 players that they're trying to make into top 6 guys, and there's not enough spots. And then you add Toews back into the mix, who is a top 6. Well, you just and you added Borgstrom, who's a center, right? So now Strome is definitely not a center, and you've got 2 wingers that you don't have on the team right now, and Reichel and Nylander, assuming they sign Reichel. Then there's Shalunov too, who I haven't mentioned yet, who's a winger. So that's like it just feels like that there's no room for Strome anymore. And like I feel like if you don't move him, his value's either gonna go up and your return's gonna go down, or his value is gonna go down and you're not gonna be able to get anything for him. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because if he plays really well and you can move him, well, like I said, then maybe you get a first round pick for him, or maybe you don't move him if he plays really well, obviously. But I don't know. Like, I just feel like they're in a hard spot with Strome right now. Personally, I would even move Kubalik because to me, Kubalik's a one-dimensional player, but facts don't lie. He's producing more than Strome is right now. So I don't know. We'll see, I suppose.
Right.
But yeah, on that news, good news, huh? It looks like Toews is on the mend on the way back.
Yeah. No, that's really good news. And too bad. You wish it could have been this season, but I mean,
Yeah, and they still haven't said what's wrong with him.
right. Which,
Like,
yeah, I know is you would love to know, but maybe it's just they want to kind of keep that under wraps. So,
I'm really wondering if it's like depression. Cause it just like I
or
even heard
just yeah, I mean, it could even be he quote unquote opted out of the season. I don't
maybe
know.
because of COVID, yeah.
Right. So,
But I'm really wondering because like I even heard I don't and granted, it's from a nobody on Twitter. I don't even know who it was. But they were like they said Taves is skating. And I'm like, oh really? So like I started looking on Twitter. I'm like, is anybody else reporting this? And I didn't see anything. I'm like, well, there's probably somebody just shooting smoke out their ass. But then this dropped today. So I don't know. It's just such a weird situation, which is going to further complicate their salary cap, by the way, because he's not going to be on LTIR. So we'll see what they do there. But yeah, great character team win tonight. We talked about previously the old Hawks and that I think they were down 5-1 against Calgary, was it?
5-0, I think.
5-0 and came
Yeah.
back.
They came back and won, 6-5.
In OT, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Emery, I think Emery was in goal.
I don't know if it was Emery or well, was that the 2010 season?
I don't maybe it was because I was thinking there was a game in 2013 where like Emery came in and just shut the door.
I think that was that was the game.
Maybe
What
against
was it? I think that was up in Calgary, but I don't think he came into relief, but I think he just started that game, but it was like a
okay.
game the Hawks needed to win, and yeah, he like stood on his freaking head.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and that's like because he had really like cemented himself. Because if I'm remembering right, in that season, him and Crawford were kind of like 1A, 1B that year,
oh
weren't
yeah,
they?
well they won.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 2013. Yeah, they won
Yeah.
the Jennings Trophy. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that
But
I think it was actually 2009 was when the Hawks were down to the Flames at home 5-0 and came back to
okay.
win 6-5.
Okay, yeah. Well, for a young team, those games are always huge, especially for the morale that you can come back from being down. So
Right.
that's why I say, even though it was an ugly win, that hopefully they can build off this going into Friday. Um, we kind of talked about the lineup changes on Friday. Do you think they'll go back to 7D again? Like if you had to.
That's tough because again, I think again it's another must win game,
Oh yeah,
obviously.
yeah,
So I think they will play 7 defensemen again Friday.
yeah. And Dahan, I can't imagine they'll throw Dahan out there again
Yeah,
because
I
he's
don't think
obviously hurt.
right. So yeah, I think they'll probably insert Mitchell or Bodan or I would think into
Well,
into the lineup. So
that's just it because I think you have to because you can't play Dahan, right? Boquist is just coming back from a concussion. This was his first game back, right?
yeah,
Yeah. And then Kalynuk was injured on Monday but played tonight. So you've got two of your other defensemen, six defensemen from tonight that are coming back from injuries themselves. So I think you have to go with 7. I'm just
yeah, right. And like I said, with it being another must win, and you risk if something does happen to one of your defensemen in that game, then to not have a seventh defenseman and go from 6 to 5 versus 7 to 6, it makes sense that I think that they have to do it.
yeah, so I guess then that leads me to the last question on that end is, I said earlier, do you think they take Stillman out to play both Mitchell and Bodan?
It's tough to say.
Because they really like, it seems they really like Stillman.
Yeah, so I don't see that happening, but if they were to make that change, I mean, I'd be all for it.
Yeah, I don't, because he did play the least at all well, no. Yeah, actually, yeah. So other than Dahan, who was injured, he played the least amount out of the 6 defensemen that were left. And obviously, he had that missed assignment because he left the front of the net on that one goal. So I'm wondering if that'll say anything where they sit him because I think he's played every game, hasn't he, since they traded for him?
I believe so.
Yeah, and they haven't seen Bodan in like a month, I think. And when did Mitchell last play? 4 games ago? 3?
Yeah, I know he didn't play. Yeah, he didn't play Monday. Maybe was it the game before that?
Maybe. But that's the thing, because like, who do you take between those two if you keep Stillman in? Because Bodan is more of an offensive defenseman, probably more so than Mitchell. But then again, Bodan, you haven't seen him in a while, so
Yeah,
there's
I mean, I'd probably take Mitchell if I had to choose, but that's
yeah,
just me.
okay. Well, and the thing with Bodan too is though he's also used to the grind, right? I think that's one of the things with Mitchell is that he's used to only playing 40 games a year, so he kind of hit a wall. Um, and Bodan, this is technically his second pro season because he was in Rockford all last year, except for one game, I believe. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I would expect one of them to get into the lineup for Dahan, and then maybe a second if they sit Stillman, but we'll see. We said Subban's going to start. I think we both agree with that. Do you think Strome gets back into the lineup, or do you think they sit him again?
I mean, because yeah, I mean, who would come out though if he went back in?
Connolly, I would think.
Yeah. So,
And
um,
Connolly's a vet that's got a cup ring, so maybe they want him in the lineup. I don't know. I don't think
but I think at this point, and they might just ride the same lineup just because there was. I mean, I know it. Technically, like for 6 or 40 minutes, there really wasn't a lot of success with this lineup. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Now that they kind of clicked, you leave it alone. But we'll see.
Yeah, so you just make the one change on defense. Yeah, I can see that.
So
But with that, everybody, that'll wrap up this review of Game 47. It was quite the comeback win. I hope that you didn't leave the game because you would have missed it. You know, Sherrod TM'd me, and he's like, I went and showered, and they were losing 4-1, and I come back and they won. Like, yeah, things fast times at the United Center. And yeah, big win, entertaining, and I am disappointed there weren't fans there because I can't imagine, even in limited capacity, like what that would have been like to have fans there. And
oh,
then,
absolutely.
by the way, I have to call this guy out. So I'm going to name him actually tonight because usually I just say he who must not be named. So if you're wondering who that is, it's Mark Lazarus. And Mark Lazarus is one of the biggest douchebag liberals, like unabashedly on Twitter. And I saw him tonight tweet something out about, the comeback in the game about like, oh, it would be really nice to have fans here. And it's like, are you shitting me? Like you literally just said, like you commented on Robin Leonard's stuff like earlier today that we shouldn't even have had a season. And now you're sitting here like, oh, we should have had fans here. And like you're all pro lockdown and all these ridiculous measures. By the way, I don't know if you know this, Joe, but somebody sent me something. It sounds like the governor is going to put us in lockdown again, or at least some counties, because the case is going up, which is just unfucking believable. But
In
anyway,
Illinois?
yeah, in Illinois. So,
Oh.
like, I know West Central, which is where I'm at, whatever region we are. And then I think Central Illinois. I don't know if Chicago's in there, but that's like the thing. They were talking about the broadcast tonight. They're like, well, there still might be hope for Blackhawks. Like, no. At this point, that would be an insult.
Well,
Don't
and then,
even
like you
have
said,
fans.
it's like you're gonna get the United Center all ready and have to do all the prep work and
For
everything.
one game. Like,
Yeah,
come
for
on.
whatever it is, 5 or however many home games the Hawks have left. Is it what, 6 or 7? I think.
I don't even. Well, they only have 9 games left, so it can't be that many, can
I
it?
thought it was like someone said 7 of their last 10 are at the United Center.
Well, because the
But
last 2 against Dallas are. So that's. I mean that would be 2 that home
yeah,
stand.
so you got, let's see, the Hawks have one. So they got one against the Predators, then the one against the Lightnings at home, 2 against the Panthers are home, 3, and then 3 at the Hurricanes, and then 2 home against the Stars. So they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They got 6 home games left. So to me, is it worth it? No, at
Yeah,
this
it's not
point.
worth it.
So
Dude, you should have done this a month ago.
right.
Like,
So
like in
you're gonna have like I said, you're gonna have to do all that work and prep work and hire back these employees for 5, 4 or 5
well, and you
games.
know what? Maybe
So
they do it. Are the Bulls going to make the playoffs? I'm not paying attention
I
to
don't.
this.
I mean, they're in 10th, I think, right now, and that's like the play, kind of like similar to what the hockey was last year with the play-in round. So they may, but I don't know where that playoff game is going to even be.
Well, maybe they're going to do it for the Bulls and the Hawks will just get like 2 games out of it or some shit. But that would be a real low blow, I think, to Hawks fans to like, oh, good. You guys got your last 2 games. Like, no, just wait and do it in October next year
Right.
or
Right.
next season. Like,
Exactly.
just
So no.
at this point, it's a lost cause. Don't even start. But I
Right.
just thought it was pretty rich for Mark Lazarus, who's been in favor of all of these strict lockdowns and look, like everyone knows it, and I think he's easily the most political beat writer. It's not even close on the Hawks. And for him to sit there and go after all this shit, and even after just today, of being like, we really shouldn't have played this season. You know, then Robin Leonard wouldn't really have anything to complain about. And by the way, we haven't talked about that, but I just want to say this. And if you want to opine on Leonard, that's fine. I'll let you in a minute. But like, I really appreciate what Leonard said. And I think it's severely fucked up that he clearly was told by Vegas to issue like an apology afterwards, because what they're doing to the players, what all of this has done to everybody I talk about it every night, depression, mental health. I've lost a whole year out of my career over this crap, like just because I'm trying to move to take an exam, and Illinois hasn't allowed us to take the exam so I can move to another state. And it's like all of this. It's not just like, and he mentions it, and it's like you have to take like look at the human element of stuff. Yes, you don't want people to die. Like nobody wants that. And for people to be safe. But you can't keep like what Toronto's doing that we talked about the other night. It's ridiculous. And now we have, I think it said like in Illinois, at least like 50% of adults like 16 and up have taken at least one shot of the vaccine. And we're talking about throwing in harsher measures again. Like, there's so many local bars and stuff where I live out here in West Central Illinois that are permanently closed. And you
Yeah, I
want to
think well,
shut
I think it's
everything,
everywhere. I think it's everywhere. So
like, yeah, and you want to shut everything down again. Like, and Robin Leonard, I love the guy, I really do. I didn't take uh kindly to him, bending the knee, in my opinion, or in my view, with the BLM and the Trump stuff, because, the beat writers are liberal and they don't like people that have different opinions than they do. And I don't know if you know this, Joe, but Leonard, when he was in New York, had a Trump sticker on his mask, and that really set him off. So
oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, and then they went after him, and that's why he kneeled in the playoff series and all of that, and the bubble and whatever. But it's I've always respected him because he's a talker, right? That's what everybody said about his interviews when he's in Chicago. He says it like it is. He's a great interview, and he said what he was thinking. And he's one of the only athletes, I think, that's actually come out and like stated fact and truth and been real, not just spewed corporate BS. And then I felt really like crap when he came out and he's like, well, it was taken the wrong way and I shouldn't have called what the measures are like a prison and all this stuff. And it's like, no, dude, like that's what's wrong with society. You can't nobody can say what stuff feels like anymore because it offends some dumb schmuck on Twitter or out in social media. Like, if it feels like you're in prison, then it feels like you're in prison. Nobody can tell you otherwise. If that's how you feel, say it. You shouldn't have to apologize for saying what you feel. And he said he felt like he was lied to. He basically said they forced the players into getting the vaccine. And if they took the vaccine, then they'd be able to go out and go to the grocery store and do all this stuff.
Yeah, which I agree, and I think he's got a point. It's like go out. I mean, you still wear a mask, obviously, but
Right.
go out. You at least you can be able to go into a store or go out to dinner or whatever the case may be, just to get out a little bit. I mean, I don't exactly know what the rules are with the players if they just.
So from like my understanding is, and this could be why Toews opted out, like we suggested earlier, we don't know, but they supposedly had meetings at the beginning of the year, and this is why the Russians in Washington were suspended. You're not supposed to go out to dinner. You're not supposed to go out anywhere, shopping, grocery store. When you're on the road, you eat at the hotel and you stay in your hotel room, and then the bus comes and picks you up and takes you to the rink. And then it takes you back, and then you stay at the hotel. They literally can't leave the hotel. They can't leave their house when they're at home. I don't know how they get their groceries. In Chicago, they have Peapod.
Maybe there's significant others, or yeah, they do. What's it called? What's that?
Peapod, I think,
Instacart or
in
whatever.
Chicago. Yeah, well, There's so many of them. When I was in Chicago, I used it was called Peapod.
Oh yeah, Peapod. I know. Yeah, Peapod's another one. So
Yeah, but like it's just nonsensical. And then that's like, so if your significant other lives with you, which I assume they do, and they're going out and getting your stuff, then if they're just as likely to bring back COVID as you are going out. It's like,
yeah, yeah.
it's just stupid. Like, you want to make people safe and take precautions, but we need to use some common sense, and we need to try to not destroy people's livelihoods on top of it. Or in this case, his point, mental health with depression and all this other crap. Because I don't know if you know this, folks, but humans need social interaction. We do. And when you look at all these shootings and crap that are going around, a lot of that is mental health and social interaction and not being told, encouraged and shit like that. So it's mind-boggling that people don't want to talk about this stuff because they're afraid if they say something negative that's controversial about the virus, well, then, the mob's going to come at you. And he's probably going to get fined from the league too for saying what he did. I couldn't believe that they let him hold that press conference, to be honest. Because it was just him. And it seemed, I don't know how the interview went, but it seems like he just was there to talk about that from the clips. So I don't know, but I felt bad because and maybe he if he decided to apologize, that's fine. But it certainly looked like somebody kind of, from Vegas, or maybe his agent or somebody was like, hey, you need to say something because this looks bad. And I couldn't disagree more. Like, I thought it was great. We need more players to speak up like that and not do what LeBron James did on Twitter and then deleted his tweet because he made himself look out to be an ass. Where, it went with the whole country on edge right now. Anyway, sorry to get political, everybody, but just felt like I wanted to get that out there. It's just bugs me. And again, kudos to Leonard for saying what he did. But yeah. You have anything to add to that, Joe? Or
No, yeah, I think we just hope, like I said, things get back to normal sooner than later, and we'll kind of leave it at that, and then get ready for, like I said, hopefully the Hawks can kind of keep this up and um, get a win Friday and keep their playoff hopes going. So
yeah. So on that note, everybody, as I said, now that this is a nice segue, wear your mask and take care of your friends and your loved ones. Like I said, depression's a big deal. I've gone through it myself the last year, being locked up, and then with my career. So I've had friends go through it too. So please go out there, and it will not necessarily go out there, but reach out to them and make sure they're all doing all right. And again, we will see you on Saturday morning with our review of Friday night's game. Hopefully we have an outcome like tonight, maybe a little bit less exciting than tonight. I think we would like, but
yeah, I'm hoping like a 5-0 or 6-1 Hawks win would be nice, but
yeah,
one can hope.
yes. So again, thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate it. Season's winding down here. Thanks for listening throughout the whole year, and we will see you Saturday morning with our review of Game 48. Till then, let's go Hawks.
All right, thanks again, everybody, and go Hawks.